So what you're going to need is some resin and some hardener. I get mine on Amazon. It's called Art Resin. It is non-toxin and low odor. You're also going to need some silicone molds. I use disposable little plastic cups, wooden stir stick. If you're using glitter, you can use any kind of glitter. I'm using chunky glitter. You'll also need a pair of gloves. I just use these disposable ones. And for these earrings, I am using just a little tiny bit of acrylic paint. Very, very small amount of acrylic paint. So what you're going to do is you're going to pour some of the Art Resin into a plastic container. If you have a very a really good scale, you can weigh out your resin and your hardener. My scale is more for heavier stuff, so I like to eyeball it. So I put my 2 cups side by side, and you want to get the same amount of resin in each cup. Next, you're just going to pour your resin and hardener into a new clean cup. And I do this so that I make sure I get the equal amounts of both the resin and the hardener into the container, instead of just pouring, say, the hardener into the resin or the resin into the hardener, because sometimes you have some left in the bottom of the cup and that can throw off your resin setting. If you have too much resin and less hardener, your product won't set and it'll always feel tacky. So I do it like this to make sure that I get same amount into the cup. Now you're going to stir your resin, and you want to do it quite slowly. You'll probably spend about 2 minutes doing this because you don't want to get too many air bubbles. If you do have some air bubbles, it's not a big deal. At the end, when you are done pouring your resin into your silicone molds, we'll burn the bubbles off, and I'll show how to do that when we get to that. So I'm just stirring the mixture, and it does have a few bubbles in it, but that'll be all right. Next, I'm going to pour half of this into another container and do my 2 different colors. It's about half each. Next, I'm going to take some of these blue chunky glitter that I got at Michael's, and I'm just gonna put some into this one. And I put about that much in there, just a little bit. Next, I'm going to take just a dab of my blue acrylic paint. You really don't need very much at all. If you can see that there, but just a little bit on the end of my stir stick. So I'm going to slowly mix the glitter and the acrylic paint together. And it's coming together quite nicely. Very nice blue. So we've got that one. I'm going to set that one aside, and I'm going to do the same thing with my magenta. So these are the same sparkles, or chunky glitter they call it. I got at Michael's, and I'm just gonna put a small, whoops, okay. Well, that one was a bit more than a small amount, but it'll still turn out really nicely. And I love how those shine in the light, that iridescent color. So I've got my chunky glitter in there. And again, I'm just going to take a very small amount of acrylic paint. You don't want too much because then your resin will not set and you will have sticky product. So I'm just going to give that a little stir. Okay, so now I have my glitter and color all mixed in with my resin, and it looks really nice. It's a really beautiful blue. And I'm going to do one tray in blue, and I'm going to do this tray in the magenta. Okay, so here is my resin, and I don't use gloves for this part. I don't find I get too much resin on my hands. If you do, you can always wipe it off with a paper towel. I do use the gloves when I'm pouring my art resin because no matter how careful you are, I always find that a little bit of the resin or hardener comes out of the top of the bottle, and then the bottle gets a little bit sticky. So that's where I do use gloves. I don't use a little squirt bottle when I'm doing my earrings. I like to just carefully let it drip off of the stick into the silicone mold. Now you don't want it to go over the edge, but you just want to put a thin layer, enough so it covers the bottom. I just let it drip off the stick, and you can kind of drag the stick a little bit if you have too much in one area. And I just need a little bit more to fill there. And it will spread, so you got to kind of let it spread over there. Like it's quite nice and light. You'll see in my next video when we put the backings onto them. I'll show you in the light how nice they sparkle. Now when you're done doing that, you're going to take your barbecue lighter or a regular lighter. I like using a barbecue lighter because I don't like burning the edge of my thumb or my nails. So you're going to take your barbecue lighter and you're going to light it, and you're just going to run it over the resin, and it's just gonna take out any little bubbles. You don't want it to touch the resin, but you do want to be fairly close to the resin. So now we want to add a top to this earring, and we're going to use this one here, and we'll just give that a minute to spread. While that's doing that, I'll do the other earring. And if it drips over the edge, that's okay. You can usually just break that piece off, or you can take a nail file and file the edge of it off, but it usually stays in the tray pretty good. You just drag it across. I know some people like to use the bottles, the squirt bottles. I've just always done it this way. I don't have a problem with it. And the bottles are kind of rendered useless after, because the resin hardens in them. So I like to do it this way. This way I can reuse my cups once the resin settles in it, and it's just a little bit less wasteful. Okay, and I'm gonna add some to the top of this earring. And there you have it for that. So I'm going to burn the bubbles off of this one and this one. This one looks like it might need a touch more in the top. And then I'll let you have a look at that. So the bubbles are very tiny, but the barbecue lighter does help to get all of the bubbles out. And I'm just going to go once over again, just to make sure that I've gotten all of those little bubbles out. And now I'm going to do a blue pair. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to use this rectangular mold for these ones. Now my blue one, it's a little chunkier than the pink one, but it'll still turn out okay. You just have to spread it out a little bit more than you would if there was less glitter in there. The glitter will all eventually settle, so it won't be sticking out. So you just want to make sure that there's no space left, but also give it enough time to spread around. Take the air bubbles out of it. 1, 2, 3. And I'm just going to use this one for the top of those magenta colored ones. If it goes over the edge a little bit, you can just pull it back in. It's not really a big deal. I'm going to let that spread out, and I'm going to burn off the air. And when we come back, I will take them out of the molds and we will have a look at them. So stay tuned for my next video. We're going to let these sit overnight for good 24 hours, and then we will peel them out and we will put the backings on them. Thanks for watching. If you liked my video, subscribe to my YouTube channel.